Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 583.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, people, how are you doing today? Hopefully things are going well, well enough anyway. So it's after Black Friday, it's after Cyber Monday. Hopefully you still have your mind about you and what not to. And if you're one of those who was out there, either was it late Thursday night now or early Friday morning, hopefully you got what you were looking for in a safe manner. So be kind to people while you're out there. Anyway, for those of you who are meeting for the first time, welcome. My name is Jay. And what we do here at Cashflow Diary is we help individuals like you become bigger, better, badder real estate investors vis-a-vis, if you will, the short-term rentals. That's just how it is. It has been our experience, my experience personally, and that of our students, that the best way to transition yourself into long-term real estate holdings and build that wealth is to get into the real estate game vis-a-vis short-term rentals. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about. So if you've got a question around short-term rentals, around business, around real estate, maybe even personal development, I don't know, wherever you are, that's great. We want to hear from you. The number is 417-344-2274. Again, that is 417-344-2274. Dial that number. Megan is sitting there ready to ask you a couple of questions. And then if you're nice to her, she'll put you through so that you and I can have a chat about the things that are on your mind that are preventing you, or maybe some of you today are just excited about the new things you've been able to do as well as it comes to doing your business, and you just want to know what you can do to possibly do better. Again, that number is 417-344-2274, and it looks like we have our first caller, so we will definitely be transitioning there in just a moment. With that said, though, for those of you watching either on our Facebook group or Facebook, YouTube, etc., just type in the chat as well so that you have a shot at getting your question answered. I will say this: priority is often given to those who call in, and definitely to those who are existing students. So 417-344-2274. And let's go ahead and get this party started. I am talking to, I believe it's Dave. Dave, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
It's been about 168 hours since we've talked to you last.
I thought it was 167. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's possible too. That is also possible. Cool. What can how can I help?
My question today is, what do we do with carpets?
What do you mean?
I've got units that have carpets in them, and I want to know if you have units that have carpet in them, and if you do you change the carpet to get rid of it? Do you clean it constantly? If so, who cleans it, and how often?
Got it.
All that type of stuff.
Totally understood. So that makes a lot of sense, what you're saying. Carpets are not necessarily fun, and typically we're going to have some sort of process around our carpets. At this exact moment, in our current inventory, none of our locations have carpet.
That's great.
So yay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so now
you basically got rid of thousands of problems right there.
Correct. So I've had locations with carpet. I don't enjoy carpet for all the reasons that you are saying. And for those of you who are not sure yet, does carpet matter? The answer is yes, because it's hard to keep clean for all of that. And for lack of a better way of putting it, sorry, Megan just sent me a note. I'm going to read it exactly because it's funny and exactly what I was thinking. Carpets are gigantic dirt bacteria sponges, period. And that's really what I mean, it just is what it is. And keeping those clean and in a condition in which your guest who is arriving is like okay with it, that becomes its own process. So for us, typically, if you've got a carpeted place, here's what I would suggest. Your cleaning crew, upon arrival, needs to do a quick inspection of said carpet. And at some point, what you want to do is you want to establish a vendor relationship such that the cleaning crew, almost at their discretion, can just call the carpet person and get it all scheduled and done. Because that's ultimately where you're going to need to get to. Otherwise, there's going to be a whole bunch of back and forth and approvals. So from the cleaning crew to you, and then you trying to talk to the carpet vendor, and then back and forth and making sure all that works. But at the same time, that's just one of the things that are there. Now, truth be told, even if you don't have carpet, you still have this issue depending on how your furniture is upholstered, because you're going to need to clean that. The couch and the cushions, etc. And usually the person who's doing the carpet cleaning also has the capacity to do the upholstery cleaning as well. So for those of you who are watching and are like, well, I'm so glad I don't have carpet. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're free of any particular issue. You still probably have an issue around your upholstery or upholstered items as well, especially dining room chairs and sofas.
Yeah, so you got your cleaning person, you give your cleaning person permission to call and schedule the carpet vendor to come out. And do you have your cleaning person inspect the carpet or hang out after it's done to make sure it's correct? Or do you just get pictures from your carpet cleaning vendor emailed to you?
Well, it just kind of depends on how much time we have, because if we're doing a tight turn, between 11 and 4, and let's just say everything's perfect. Cleaner arrives at 11, they identify that the carpet is dirty and contact the carpet cleaner, and let's just say he or she is available immediately and they can get right there. Let's pretend all of that happens. If all of that happens simultaneously, we're probably not going to have too much time for an inspection per se, especially since the cleaner's got to clean and then probably jet to the next assigned unit that needs to be turned that day. However, what we will do is we will send a note, say, to the arriving guest and let them know, hey, just so that you know, we just had the carpet cleaned. It may still be a little damp and or wet, et cetera, et cetera. And I promise you, if there's still any issues with the carpet, that guest is going to let you know.
Okay, cool.
100%. But it's been difficult to have an after cleaning inspection outside of just hearing from the guest, simply because there's just not enough time for the carpet to dry and then have an inspection, etc. So there's usually not enough time for that.
All right. Very cool.
Cool.
Let me just get you one quick question.
Okay.
Here, just a quick answer one. How many customer service managers do you have? And what are their hours?
The managers, there's 2 of them, one on Eastern time and one on Philippine time. So they literally swap with very little overlap, but they work a normal 8-hour day.
So you've got customer service managers available 16 hours a day?
Yes.
And then you've got your regular customer service, like VAs, working those same amount of hours as well under them?
Yes. Yeah. There will always be, there's an agent on staff available 24/7 no matter what, because the manager is usually going to be dealing with something like maybe they're dealing with a claim issue with HomeAway or Booking.com or what have you, which means they should be dealing with that as opposed to dealing with a routine. Hey, what parking spot do I park in? Type of situation.
Oh, I see.
So, because you're going to end up having those at the same time.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. And I know a lot of students want to know, did these managers, were they interviewed and hired as managers?
Yes.
Or were they hired as lower-level VAs?
No. As I've said before, I say again, I chose to start with the manager, and I chose to personally train said manager. And by train, I mean they shadowed me. They literally like logged in with me at the same time and watched me craft and respond. Or if there was a phone call involved, they were there as well, listening in as I was communicating to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How do they shadow you? Screen share?
Yeah, absolutely. Screen share all day long. Zoom is great.
Okay.
I got between Zoom and Loom, Zoom and Loom, we created a fairly robust video system. And then from that, those recorded videos, their job while they were training, their job was to create the standard operating procedures, which is what ultimately was reduced to Trello and is what the people who come on board now today actually do. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, you answered a lot of amazing questions. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime. It's what we do. So thanks for calling in. And let's get to the next caller. For those of you who are out there watching, feel free to dial in 417-344-2274. Would love to talk to you, answer your questions as it relates to short-term rentals, real estate, business, etc. And I see a number of you are joining us to and answering the question above regarding my wife and her excitement. I wish you guys could have seen that. I should have. I almost wish I had a picture right now of her excitement around a drill for Black Friday. Yep, absolutely fired up. So it is what it is. Keep typing in the chat. I'm going to get over here. It looks like I'm going to Seattle, Washington. Laura, how are you doing?
Hi, Jay. I'm doing good.
Excellent. How can I help?
Well, I am in the process of, I finally found a couple of places that are interested in letting me do the short-term rentals at their location, and everything is a go, except they're a little leery about the specific marketplaces. You know, of course, the VRBOs, the Airbnbs, but they're completely open to Facebook and advertising those. I think it's because they are concerned about their apartment complex being potentially open to people knowing that. And I told them I wouldn't be showing any exterior and I wouldn't be putting the apartment complex name on there. But is there any other reassurances, or is there any way for me to negotiate that point specifically that would make them maybe a little bit more comfortable with the idea?
What's really ironic about what you're saying is that they're being comfortable with that. Seems completely inverted. They should be way more comfortable with your HomeAways and Airbnb as opposed to Facebook, because typically with Facebook there's more information that is revealed and there's less screening, quote unquote, done up front. So I find I'm actually kind of perplexed there that like that's actually their concern. Like, really? Okay. And what you're saying is 100% accurate. If you're following all of the safety procedures that we've recommended, yeah, you're not disclosing the location. The next step that you can do, or what I would do, is that I would offer for them, or to just let them know that, hey, in fact, once we are done creating the listing, I'll let you look at it. Because that way they can then see that you are not disclosing any of the sensitive information that would give someone a clue as to, oh, it's that particular unit or that, you know what I'm saying? And I think if you did that, that would all give them that extra sense of, oh, okay, now we can see what you are saying at the end of the day.
Okay, and that's what I thought. They're not against advertising on third-party sites. It's just that they were a little concerned about that, and I think that balancing it, by reassuring them that, their apartment complex is not going to be plastered all over Airbnb, if you will, those types of things. And then my second question is kind of related to that.
Okay.
So if I have somebody that is really concerned about background checks
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to have background checks, is it wise for me? I mean, does Airbnb or do the sites provide enough of a background check, or to reassure folks that I'm doing it, should I do my own background checks as well?
Got it. So and again, if you're following the settings and things that we suggest, and one of the many reasons that we tend to recommend individuals start with Airbnb as their first marketing platform is because of the additional screening capabilities that they have developed, so that they are able to do the types of screenings, whether that be the terrorist watch list or the Office of Financial Assets and Control list, the sex offender list, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is definitely one of the reasons why we tend to recommend that. And for most cases, that is beyond more than enough. The real question becomes, what information are they actually after, or if they're actually after information. For example, typically what they want to know is, in case of an emergency, who can I contact that's physically at the property, etc. And we've often resolved that concern by just providing a list of name, phone number, email of the person, so that they have a way to communicate to them, as opposed to having first track us down and then us having to track down the actual individual that's there. So we've been able to, and we can typically automate that process so that it's quick. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that their concern that they're telling me about is that they're just concerned for their other residents in
100
in the units, and making sure that some unsavory types are not necessarily coming in. So, and I told them that I do background checks and those types of things, for all of that. So
right.
That should be basically what they're, I can reassure them on those pieces, since I haven't gone through and set up a specific Airbnb set right at the moment. That should cover everything then.
Well, and not only that, one of the other things that would assist you or in helping explain this is they just may not be aware of the financial investment that you're about to make in terms of furniture, fixtures, and equipment into that apartment or house or unit or whatever it is that you're using. And when you explain to them that we're on the same side of the table here, in the same way that you don't want an unsavory person, so to speak, neither do I, because we're about to make a significant financial investment. And once that investment is made, I have to protect it just as much as you have to provide quiet enjoyment to the rest of the residents. So we tend to follow all of the good neighbor policies and practices, because we don't want that person either. And by the way, just so you know, because of our security and screening and business model, if for some reason some person does skip past or make it past our screening, we have the capacity to remove them within a few minutes so that we can rectify the situation. And we will have staff on site or staff available to help us make that happen. Now, at the beginning, you are that staff, but at the same time, that is one of the other reasons why we suggest what we suggest, is so that you have the ability to correct an issue. And that's been the biggest issue that our industry has suffered from, is because the barrier to entry is so low today. Laura, what happened is individuals without the experience of how to remove people or what to do. Sometimes when something happens, it's not that something happened, it's how you respond to the thing that happened that causes the issue. And not knowing how to respond can sometimes compound and make something that could have been easily resolved or more easily resolved much, much worse. And that's the situation we tend to find ourselves selling against today, is the fact that, most people who are beginning to understand this, who don't have access to the information that we provide, they don't know how to respond. They just know that they probably should have responded, but they didn't, or they don't respond in a way that's actually conducive to successful relationship long term.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I basically thought and have been more units all at the same time.
Okay.
Or within their close proximity to each other. And I haven't been on Guesty before, but I'm wondering, they have told me before that I should have at least 4 units before I use them. Is that just because of their cost and association with per numbers of units is more cost effective, or is it that they absolutely won't allow us to bring on their services without that many?
Got it. Let me ask a couple of questions. There are multiple levels to what we provide. Are you a Blueprint or a Mastermind student, Laura?
I believe I'm a Mastermind.
Okay. Did you attend so if you're a Mastermind student, there's a 6-hour training that typically is done once a month with me. Were you there?
Yes.
Okay, got it. One of the things that it talked about during that time was, one, we've moved away from Guesty. So that's number one. Number two, yes, it was typically economies of scale that made the situation better. And then number three is their cost structure is not conducive to your profitability long term. So using, say, a combination. So like right now at 3, I would be really, really just concerned with you having the Smart BNB as the major tool. And then maybe in a couple of more units, you're going to begin to want to be multi-channel. And then I would concern yourself with adding a channel manager as needed. And typically that's Logify is the company that we've been recommending.
So Smart BNB will cover most of that, like calendar management and all of those types of things. I haven't gotten onto that.
The answer is yes.
Yet, because they're all coming on at the same time, and I haven't,
right.
been holding off until I got them all rolling.
The main thing that I'm concerned about most is your messaging and being able to handle the volume of communication that you are going to suddenly be presented with now that you have so much more inventory available. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so that the systems and tools are kind of my key elements of trying to make sure that I get those in place from the get-go.
Yep.
So that I can make sure that I can put the right things in place so that because I'm bringing on potentially 3 at the same time, that it doesn't become overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. And at the same time, this being the first time that you've done 3 at once, it will be overwhelming, and that's okay. Because everybody's first time bringing multiple units on is overwhelming. And also, 12 months from now, you're going to look back at today and kind of laugh. Like, wow, I used to be overwhelmed by 3 of them. That's amazing. Which is also true. And you have access to the Facebook group. There's a number in your geographic area who have been through what you are already talking about in terms of just feeling like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. It is a lot, but at the same time, it can be done. Many of us have done it. And I guess the one more thing that I will say is just remember, it's one thing to have an expert tool. It's another to know how to use it expertly. And that's the thing. Many people ask me either when I'm being interviewed on stage or whatever, like, what's the tool? I can tell you the tool, but if you don't know how to use the tool, it really doesn't matter at all. And that's where, specifically I'm thinking about modules 4 and modules 5 inside the mastermind are going to be of assistance to you as you begin to implement more of the tools that allow you to scale. Does that make sense?
Yep. And I will go back and review those.
No problem.
As that goes.
Cool. Excellent. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to call in for sure. And keep us in the loop. Let us know how it goes. Because I can remember the first time I brought multiple units on at once. I remember after we got done, I quote, said directly to my wife, we are never, ever doing that again. And about 3 months later, we did. But anyway. So, yeah, I know the feeling. So good luck.
Thank you.
No problem. I'll talk to you soon. So for those of you watching online and typing in the chat, I do see you. So I see you there. We also have another person on the hold right now. So we're going to get to talk to her in just a moment. And for those of you who have not yet dialed in and you're thinking about it, should I, shouldn't I? The answer is yes. 417-344-2274. And we're definitely going to do our best to get to all of the questions, because we want to make sure that nobody is stuck and left behind. All right. With that being said, I think it's Serena in Florida. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you today?
So far, so good. So far, so good. How can I help?
Great. So I'm calling in this evening on my side because I have a question. My partner and I, we're struggling with, we want to scale. And we have our first unit, and it's just only been a month, and we've been able to, cover the rent, and we've been at I think we're at 45% occupancy for our first run, which, we covered the rent. We're not running away with money at this point. It's kind of a low season where we're at, I figure, based off of, I think, the Airbnb, the DNA. So anyhow, I really, really want to scale, and I want to scale, obviously, I know that you discussed, the funding grow and things like that. Our challenge and one of my partners' concerns are, are we doing too much, or should we wait to see more of a profit from this unit? And I'm a little torn. I feel like, maybe making sure that we kind of have more would kind of be safer in another sense, but just if I can get your thoughts and advice on what's the best approach with that, and how do you feel about, I wanted to do one a month maybe, even though we haven't really proven out our current location. I would like to get to 10 rather quickly. Got it.
A couple questions. Is your significant other around, available?
No, it's my friend. She's a partner. She's not available right now.
Okay, got it. I always love hearing first party what their concerns specifically are, but I understand. And here's in general what I'm going to say, not only for you but for everyone. This business is easier with more units than it is with less, even though it feels like, oh my God, I cannot believe how much what our monthly obligations are. Right. So, and I completely understand where you're coming from. And I'm also going to say that it is easier with more units. Now, there's something that you said that's absolutely concerning. I'm trying to understand, why on earth do you have a 45% occupancy? That says to me something else is going on. Especially, aren't you in Florida?
Yeah, we're in Tampa. I guess we're playing with the pricing right now, to figure it out. I'm not really sure. I think December is getting booked slowly, but not completely. But January looks pretty amazing for us, and February as well.
Got it.
So we didn't know if it's just that we were lowering the rankings or what, but we're starting to slowly, get traction.
Got it.
And we didn't go live until November the 2nd or 3rd.
Okay, so there's a lot in there that actually makes sense, and I think we just had an earthquake right now, which is kind of interesting. Sorry, my entire house and room was just shaking in a way that I'm like, I think we just had a small earthquake. I'm not 100% certain. Maybe some of the other people in California can either confirm or deny that, but it felt like that's what just happened. Anyway, so for those of you who have been afraid to move to California, you witnessed an earthquake during this live stream. See, it didn't hurt nobody. You're all good. Anyway. So when you start a new unit during low season, and especially when it's your first one, yes, it can be a challenge. And historically, at least in California, and again, I don't know the trends for your geographic area, but I know in California, assuming your market is similar to ours, the first 2 weeks of December are absolutely, sometimes the first 3 weeks of December, depending on how it falls, are horrible. Am I going to make it horrible? because you're just like, what do I got to do in order to make this work? And at the same time, looking at some of your settings and understanding, are you being overly restrictive can also make a difference. And then also looking at your pricing, because when you tell me that you are already getting reservations for February, it makes me wonder, maybe your pricing is too low for that particular part, but too high for right now. So there could be a seasonal difference between the two that is also influencing what you're reporting as your occupancy rate. However, here's what I will say. If in a December month with 45% occupancy, you can still 45% occupancy, it can still cover your rent. Oh, girlfriend, I'd be backing up the truck and loading up. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous and awesome. The fact that you can cover with at 45% is really good. And I'd be like all kinds of excited.
Covered it.
All kinds of excited right now.
Okay.
I would be full pedal to the metal, because here's what that means is that when it comes high season, no one's going to have any problems anymore. No one's going to have any complaints like this.
Got it.
And then I'm going to continually work through some of our course material, like NPP for the no pride pricing, in order to figure out how to fine tune so that our low season isn't as low before. And this is your first low season. It's going to be like this, and what you're feeling is 100% normal for nearly every person, like everybody.
Okay.
Cool.
So I'm hearing that we should just keep going, and that this feeling is normal.
That's definitely what I would be doing. And everything that you're saying is 100% something every person, myself included, has gone through, has experienced, has doubted, has wondered, has felt like, oh my God, what did I do? Is it going to fall apart now? No. And learning how to deal with that emotion and still move forward or move in the direction of your goals is part of the process.
Okay.
So you and your partner are going through a transformation. You felt afraid before, and in the past, fear was interpreted as run away. And now you're learning to have a different response to the same stimulus. Does that make sense? Hey guys, thanks for listening as always, and I'm glad that you continue to support with each and every download and subscription and share. One of the things that I want to ask you, though, is where are you listening to me from right now? I know some of you, maybe you're on a treadmill, maybe you're washing dishes, maybe you're walking that dog, and some of you are actually in a vehicle driving right now. One of the fun things that you can do, get some of your time back, is begin to living a car-free existence. But even then, it can be a little complicated. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to go over to Zipcar. Go to joinzipcar.com/cashflow diary. It's a way that I am able to still go get a car just for a few hours, very, very simply, so that if I have a lot of errands to run and sheets to drop off and running to the short-term rentals, or if I just want to go for a long trip up to LA and back, etc., I can rent a car for a very, very short period of time. And the cool part is I don't even have to pay for any gas. Again, go to joinzipcar.com/cashflow diary.
It makes total sense. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And she's going to listen back to this. So, Crystal, do you hear that? So I'm just letting her know.
Whatever I can do to help. So this is good.
You.
Cool. You're welcome. No problem. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh my goodness. As many of you know who are out there, entrepreneurs, etc., there is a transformation process that we all go through in order to get to where we are. So let me address some of the comments, and I see another caller coming in right now. I want to definitely get to that. Oh, hey, my brother's here. He says, happy holidays. So that's cool. What's up? I don't know if you're still watching, but you were literally the first comment. So you're probably gone by now. Either way, happy holidays. That's one way to check in with family. They check in with me on the live stream. Were you guys here the day my mom called in? That was really interesting for me. I'm like, that's like my mom. It was really, really interesting. Anyway, let's see. William says, answers to the question above, what's the appropriate response when your wife is excited about a drill on Black Friday? Get to. Yes, William. I'm sure she would have loved for me to respond that way. For those of you who know me, you know that the idea of working with any sort of power tool is probably a really bad idea. Frank is saying 5-star mentor, 5-star training, 5-star systems equals 5-star review from your first guest. Thanks, Jay and Poppy. Frank, you are 100% welcome. Just thank you for following and doing it, because at the end of the day, we can give you everything we know. That doesn't mean you're going to actually trust and do it, and that takes a lot of faith, and we appreciate that for sure. All right, we have a question from Steven, and then we'll get to the caller. Let's see. I have a potential investor. Okay, he's collecting too much money and getting clobbered by taxes, I had a feeling, and hit the max 1 million in write-offs. He wants to know, if he invests with me outside of California, can he get more write-offs, or how can he stop paying so much? He is a Native American part owner of a casino. Yes. I remember I had an opportunity at a casino, and those numbers are they're like, wow. I mean, when you're looking at those numbers, you're thinking like, you're literally thinking, is that legal? It's a whole different thing. And I'd say that to say the following. Obviously I'm not a tax person, right? And yet at the same time, the best way to begin there are many ways to put yourself in a more advantageous situation as it relates to taxes. And there have been a number of strategies that some of our students and others have employed. And one of the things that we will often do, especially on the podcast, is interview individuals who have skill sets along that may be able to assist our listeners to be able to do this. So there's what is known, because what's coming to my mind off the top of my head is what you're saying, Stephen, is, hey, this guy would love to put more money with me if I can help him be in a position to actually minimize some taxes as well. Great. And the literally the first thing that's coming to my mind at this moment is Cashflow Diary, the podcast. It's episode 556. That's code for we've been doing that for a while. And let me show you. So it's episode 556, where we're talking about a tool which is called the Deferred Sales Trust. This may be something that could help you. I would definitely listen to this episode, see if it fits. If it fits, that would be one of the beginning places that I would look to be able to see if this particular structure would come into play. And I'm starting with this particular structure or this idea simply because of the numbers that you're relaying to me. An individual of that means would typically be the ones that can benefit the most from such a strategy. So that's the first thing that actually comes to my mind, Stephen. So hopefully that helps. All right, we're going to go over to Michael in, what is this? Denver. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how you doing, Jay?
I'm good. It almost feels like we have an appointment every Tuesday, bro. It's starting to feel like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm plugging in, brother. I'm like, let's make this happen.
I like it.
I need to expand, but I got to master this couple I got right now, so we can really expand, powerfully.
Sure. How can I help?
So I am really trying to dial in Logify now.
Okay.
And it's like a mess. I don't really know what to do. I've looked at all the modules, and it's just I feel like there's a lot of quirky little things going on. The first concern is just to get my website. I have a domain name, but it's not allowing me to link it to the Logify website.
That was what. Yes, I had a feeling. Okay, I had a feeling that was going to be one of them. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a big one right there. If I could really get that dialed in, I think, that's probably my main concern.
Got it.
This week.
Sure, no problem. Let me tell you what I did. I surrendered to the fact that I just couldn't do it, no matter how many times I followed their directions too. And then I began to I went and found someone who could just do it and make it work.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened, because I'm like, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what they say to do. When I try to do that, it doesn't work. Can you do it? Yep. And in less than a day, they were like, yay, here. And I'm like, well, thank you for A, making me feel stupid, and 2, getting it done. Because I had the exact same problem, my friend. But that is my best solution to getting it done. Now, if that's not an option for you, I do know that Ryan, he's in the group, Ryan Levasseur, and then John Williams. Either one or both of them are, let's just say, very skilled at making that happen, the tech stuff like that happened. And because of that, then I would encourage you to reach out to them, and they may be able to give you some additional insight, shortcuts, etc., to make it work. Make sense?
Okay. Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, okay, I think I'm going to need just somebody that knows, that's way more tech savvy than me to do this.
That's exactly right.
It's a lot of moving parts. Ladero sent me some videos to try to help, but I think, that works if everything is working. So, I need to outsource this somehow.
Yeah, that was my only solution too. I just I couldn't get it to forward. It wouldn't work. And then there was a SSL issue, and I'm just like, this stinks.
DNS. And
yeah, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what none of this means anymore. This is not in the script. This is not supposed to happen. That's not what the file says. So I'm done.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly how it went down.
And I got one more little.
Okay, go for it.
Just simple. Just how do I get access to the NPP module? Is that's something that I have to?
You were at the.
I know I have it from the classes.
Yeah, it's in the summit.
I don't have access. Yeah, in my cash flow, in my portal, I don't have access to the actual module. I do have access to it in our summit, and the conversations we had over the summit.
Got it. Oh, got it. Okay, so just send an email over to info@cashflowdiary.com, and then Dell will be able to fix that for you.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Cool.
All right, thank you, Jay.
Yep, no problem. That's what we do. See you next week.
Yeah. See you next week.
All right, bro. Talk to you later. Awesome. Yeah. So for those of you watching, wherever you're watching from, what's really cool is that at the end of the day, we have individuals from all across the globe who get the opportunity to make sure that they don't stay stuck, because that's the goal. We don't want people to stay stuck. We want them to actually get their questions answered and keep moving forward. So that is one of the unique things and fun things that happens here. All right. I see a number of questions, so let's see what we've got here. It says, why is YouTube feed faster than the Facebook group? I don't know. I can't answer that question. That's a Facebook/YouTube question, but that's true. And maybe YouTube just does live stream better than Facebook. I have no idea, so don't know. What else we got? It says, good evening. Ooh, carpets. Love it. So that's way back. There it is. Are you able to do short-term rental in a gated community, or is it just a waste of time? No, we operate in a number of gated communities, so we've done that in the past. We do that currently. There are additional systems and processes also known as communication, that have to go out to make things just so and just perfect. So, there's just extra steps to make sure key fobs or gate controls or even gate codes have been communicated properly. And, you're still subject to the fact that some people have trouble using technology, which could mean that even though you've communicated everything properly, they just can't seem to interpret the information in the way that the technology is supposed to be used. So it's not a quote unquote waste of time per se. And yeah, many of our students, myself, we definitely do that. So it's no big deal. Let's see what this says. Ask this question in the group, but would like to get your thoughts. Negotiating my first unit, and I have the same terms. I have the terms that I want on almost everything, except the owner wants me to put the lease in my personal name for the first 6 months, and then I can switch to my business name once I have financials for the LLC. Got it. No. Again, as we've covered many times, and I just remind, not an attorney. However, here's why I would not do that deal that way. I would put the entity on the lease. Now, I don't have a problem being the personal guarantor because that's what it comes down to. What I'm hearing is that the owner is concerned about, being able to come after you in some way, shape, or form or something of that nature. Totally common concern. Totally fine with that. My concern is during that first 6 months, you have an exposure that needs to be covered. And under no circumstances would I wouldn't want to be open to that exposure from a personal standpoint. So you need to have your correct insurance in place as well to make sure that you're covered. And that's just kind of where that is. But I don't mind being a personal guarantor. So maybe go back to them and say, hey, I'll PG the thing for the entire year. Maybe that's the answer. And then you're 100% good all the way through there, and see what he says. All right, let's see. Scrolling. Megan says that she loves Loom for more in-depth stuff so she can rewind and rewatch. Yes, tools like Loom and Zoom are indispensable when working with virtual teams. 100%. Let's see. Do you? No, Jeremy, we do not, but we do need to get one, huh? That's what you're saying. I get you. I'm with you 100%. We do not have a promo code for AirDNA, which means, Megan, remember what we were talking about earlier? There's one of them right there. There's one of them right there that we need to pick up and make happen. How excited are we about Smart B&B mobile app finally coming out? I don't know that I'm overly more excited or less excited. Either way, I'm glad that it's there. Because a lot of I still want the new version of their metrics module to finish being created, and I'll probably be a lot more excited at that moment. Don't get me wrong, love everything else that Pierre and his team have done, and yet I'm still looking forward to more of what they're doing, because we've been talking about doing more deep stuff together to help our database and students and all you guys be able to use their platform even better. And speaking of which, Megan, here's another one that we need to follow up with as well. So this is good. This is good. All right. Now, if you wanted to get a question answered, feel free to dial 417-344-2274. Megan will sit there, ask you a couple of questions, and we will definitely be able to assist you with the little bit of time that we have left. Some of you may remember that today I'm headed down to San Clemente to assist one of our students with even if I'm just there for support, with his bid with City Council to help help him in the permit process, and who knows, maybe help the city of San Clemente as well. Who knows? I've got ideas. Here's how this could be done, and here are some great things. So we'll see what's up. It says, I needed that, Jay. It's slow out here in Minnesota. Yes. If it's cold, it's cold. That is definitely true. But if you're covering with 45% occupancy, dude, that's nothing but reason to move forward, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. See, Aaron has a question. Says, if you're new to short-term rentals, when are you going to fund and grow? Got it. Currently, I have 1 unit, but I want to get to 5 to 6 in the next few months. It just seems like a lot of money they want to throw to you and makes me nervous. Ha ha. Got it. Totally understood. So, Aaron, here's the thing. I know because I have access to. They just tell me. I know that our students have been able to obtain more than $1 million now in capital that helps them build units. I do know also that it doesn't take much for you to earn back the investment that they do ask for up front. And I would say that I wouldn't recommend them if those things were not true. That's really what it comes down to. So, with that being said, more than the cost, what I would really want you to be considering and thinking about is the opportunity cost. Because, and I'm making up numbers for everyone listening right now. Let's pretend that you're looking at anything, and let's just say that the cost for that something was 10 grand. That's what you are currently calling the cost. I'm going to call it the price, because there's a difference between price and cost. And what's really important to understand is that the cost also includes the opportunity that you are not yet taking advantage of, simply because, well, you're not enabled to. I know it feels like, to some degree, that you can take your time, etc. And yeah, sure, no problem. Take your time. I have no problem with that. But at the same time, what I'm also communicating to you is that in your geographic area, Aaron, there's a stream of cash that is flowing. You can't see it, and you will only see it as you continue to put more dams in the water and diverting some of that cash to flow your way. And so you not being there isn't preventing someone else from earning the money, but it is because it's still there. It's definitely there, 100%. And I would submit for your own approval and acceptance that not being there, yes, even right now, is definitely costing you more money than the price that they ask for their services. Because remember, in order for a business to exist, and it exists for any length of time, one of the fundamental concepts, and it's in the book Think and Grow Rich, it's simply to give more in use value than they ask in cash value. And if you can align yourself with that understanding, I think you can find your way to making that happen. So, Aaron, totally understood. And yes, Aaron, I still agree. Our D1 college players can take out the pro European players any day. That's just how it is. So for those of you wondering if you definitely still want to be able to ask some questions, we have a little bit more time before I have to get out of here and get down to the city council meeting. So it's 417-344-2274. Again, 417-344-2274. So let me see. Robin is asking, what are the benefits of running Airbnb under a business name? First, Robin, and I know you know this, and you know exactly what I'm about to say, because you're like, dang it, why can't I edit my post? You know we don't do Airbnb. This is a short-term rental business. Airbnb is simply a marketplace where buyers and sellers meet. You are selling space, time at your space, period. And buyers and sellers meet there. It's a marketplace, all right? Now, with that being said, it's like any other business. The benefits that would accrue under any other business are the same benefits that accrue to you. But chief among them, the biggest thing that I am concerned about is that when you are housing or providing housing for individuals, is the thing that the thing that I get the most concerned about are things like carbon monoxide. Now, I'm not saying any of you have this issue, but one of the reasons we slant towards the actively monitored systems that we do and all the suggestions that are there is because all it takes is one time of one of your guests or residents passing away in the night from something defective or something not being alerted for you to go, God, I wish I was doing this in a corporate name. Having had the amount of real estate that I've had tenants, I've woken up to either property managers calling the office saying, hey, so-and-so's child died last night and we're having to submit to an investigation because they just want to make sure everything was great. And, and now they start checking things like the smoke detectors and gas leaks and all this other stuff. Well, at that time, you're going to want to make sure that there's protection in place. Now, in our case, we were completely fine. And even if we weren't, we still had insurance that was there. So it's really a liability thing more than anything, so that I like knowing that separation of the two is 100% there. And in fact, Robin, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but you actually take a greater risk by driving your vehicle than you really do when it comes to housing people in the most cases. So just understand that all of those things are there. And that's not even including the fact that you don't know what your guest might do. You just don't know. And there is that possibility for any one of us at any time, even a person who passed the screening, who knows, you just don't know. Okay. All of those reasons and more, definitely run the business through an entity of some kind, talk with your counsel to figure out what kind. And yes, there's, being able to take advantage of some of the tax structures that are out there also help. So, yeah. Let me see. Andy, I am going to totally destroy your last name. Sorry. It's like Andy Koxic? I don't know. Do you need to get financing when you get started, or do you wait until your first unit? It depends. One of the things that I often want to make sure that people are aware of, one of the things I like about this particular business model and structure is that you don't need an exorbitant amount of third-party financing to make it work. You just don't need it at all. That's it. I don't know what else to say. And especially once you get one unit, it becomes a game of patience, so that you can get to the second. And then once you get two, it gets easier to get three. And once you get three, it gets easier to get to the fourth. And by the time you have four, it starts to feel like that, maybe every 90 days or so, you're in a position to where you can bring on a new unit. Of course, this depends on how many bedrooms that you're currently running. But at the end of the day, self-funding is a real thing. And the thing that gets me the most excited is that what most people don't realize about this business model is that it's the perfect preparation and path on your journey to owning real estate long term, because it trains you to screen and manage what it ultimately is your customer or tenant when you do convert, or if you ever choose to convert to traditional rentals. There's just a lot of experience that's given to you by this business model, to where you get really good at what are known as move-ins and move-outs, and being able to run inspections and dealing with individuals of all kinds and all types, because everybody needs a place to stay. And once you become a landlord, well, you're kind of want that building full, but you want it full of the right individuals. And if you've never been through that process and know how to do it, well, you could make a number of incorrect decisions. So it's just something to truly consider. But do you need to get financing? No. Some people start with their own money, and some people never use financing. I'm good with it. In fact, the less other people's money you use, the better, because then you can put yourself in a very strong position in a very short period of time. Let me see. April is asking, do you have any advice? Of course. No, I'm just kidding. Do you have any advice for how to find a multi-unit property? Do we search any differently than we did for just one property? We are hoping to get a duplex for our next units. No, again, so April, I remember you being there during the 6-hour training. And by the way, for those of you who are not yet students, or maybe you recently became a student in the last 30 days, the next morning training is happening on this Saturday at 6 a.m. Pacific time. So it'll be there. So if you've already become a mastermind student, you should have already received your invitation, or Della will make sure you have your invitation for that. So again, and we'll be doing that obviously on Saturday. But April, on this particular topic, to be very, very specific, to be specific on that topic, the process is the same. To get a duplex, that's fine. You're just going to, when you do the circles, you're just going to be driving for those particular areas. So when you're looking at the Google map, you're just going to be looking for more of the green, or not green, but more of the residential areas where you might actually be able to find them. I do find it interesting, though, that you're looking for a duplex. Just in general, I just find that as intriguing at the end of the day, though. So just know that for sure. Let me see. All right, this right here is what we call moving at the speed of instruction. Mike was calling in earlier, and then he tags John right there to be able to go and find what it is that he's looking for in terms of getting the help he needs with the technology. Love it, 100%. See, and then John responds, I can help. And there is video training in the mastermind. Yes, this is true. It's there, but sometimes it's just, a challenge. And then Aaron says, thanks, Jay. Really good info. Thank you, Aaron. I definitely appreciate it. So we're getting to the end here. So I'm going to put the number on the screen one more time. It's 417-344-2274. Again, that's 417-344-2274. If you have a question, now would be the time, because like I said, I'm headed down to San Clemente to assist in the city council meeting. And let me see. What is that? Got it. Referring back to Robin's question, she does know that it is not Airbnb. She actually corrects people on it all the time. Okay, that's good. What she meant within Airbnb is asking if we would like to host under a business name versus our personal name. It's asking if we're doing it as a business, etc. Got it. I'm 6 in one, a half dozen in the other. There are some people who are making reservations based upon the fact that they're dealing with a person versus a company or corporation. I have no problem with you hosting as your entity or company on the profile, as well as no problem you doing it as a person on that profile. Both, it's like I said, 6 in one, half dozen in the other. I will also say, though, that sometimes, not always, sometimes there are individuals, unfortunately, who are looking for people hosting as a person, especially if they're new, because they may know things about how the system works that you do not yet know. And you're the one that they're looking for. I'm not, and that's not to say that if you're hosting as an entity or a corporation that they're somehow deterred from trying their tactics. I'm just bringing it to your attention because I know it's there, period. And I just don't want you to be caught off guard. All right. So, and let's see. And I think April caught on to what was going on there. Was Robin asking about listing? Yes, April, I got it now. Now I understand. Wait, let me see. And then what is this? What is John saying? He says, for our properties, I'm seeing as a rule of thumb that we must double market rent as a gross number to make our goals. Yes, that is, I would agree with that. Does this sound about right to you? We've struggled to consistently hit this benchmark. Yes, and John, one of the things that I would caution is to not, measure on a month-to-month basis, but don't judge on the 12-month basis, because the number one thing to really understand is that there is seasonality to how your travel happens, and over the 12-month period or any rolling 12-month period, you'll be able to see that standard deviation and be able to adjust better for it in the future. But it's definitely 100% there, my friend. So being able to, once you get used to it, the ebbs and the flows, and being able to predict it, that should also begin to enlighten you as to why sometimes I'm spending an inordinate amount of time on things like either NPP or looking for the additional ways to create revenue so that the bottoms are not as low. Because that's really what we're talking about here, is how did I keep the bottoms from being as low as they need to be. But also, John, one of the really, really important things to remember is the information regarding Profit First with Michael Michalowicz, because having your percentages allocated properly during the higher seasons, that should leave some extra funds in your operational account to smooth out some of those bottoms. So assuming that you are sticking to those concepts, that should happen less and less and less. And plus, as you increase your inventory, that also will become more and more true. There'll just be this number that always happens no matter what. And when you get to a certain point, you can get to a point to where even though it's like you're not being as efficient with each individual unit, you can, quote unquote, handle more vacancy across the portfolio as a whole, but still make your numbers. So that's a long way of saying, as I said before earlier, even on this session, this business is easier the larger it is. The more units you have, the easier it is in order to make things work. And that's just really one of those important things to understand that happens for each and every person. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, what I am going to do is I'm just going to say, well, thanks you for taking the time to be here, to listen, to tune in. For those of you who called in, I absolutely appreciate you, because it's really cool to talk to something other than just the camera that I'm looking at, and making sure that I'm getting or giving relevant, timely information that is going to keep you guys moving forward. Now, as I alluded to at the beginning, what is the proper response when your spouse is excited about a drill for Black Friday? Well, if any of you know my wife, you just do your best to support her and get out of the way, because she's got things she wants to build and create, and I'm just like, awesome. It's going to be great, and I'm just going to be really thankful that she's not looking at me to actually put something together, because you and I both know that isn't going to go well. Either way, hopefully you've had a decent Thanksgiving, a good Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc. Maybe you guys are out there, you're preparing for the holidays. Definitely something to be thinking about. I can't think about the holidays just yet, because I still got to do my mom's birthday, my daughter's birthday, my birthday. Then we get to Christmas. But at the end of the day, I'm hoping that you guys have found this valuable. It's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.